What up, Cowboy Nation? It's your boy, Cowboy Jeff and Gil Johnson. This is the Big Sports Talk Podcast. What we know and love. We talk about what we know and love. Dallas Cowboy football. Let's just put out a little disclaimer. This channel is for the real diehard Cowboys fans. Not you fair weather burning your jersey last week. Houston Texans a month ago.
Yeah, pretty much. Someone
Last
just
year.
out here spazzing out. Like I'm over it. I'm done. Unless we deliver a Super
Yeah.
Bowl. You know what I'm saying? I'm finished with it. I'm like, man, this is football, man. Every year.
Yeah, this is our team, man. This is the Cowboy. We know who you are with the 30 jerseys in your closet. This is not that type of show. We just love this team and we're gonna talk about the good, bad, and the
And
ugly.
the ugly, super ugly.
So Gil, last week the NFL draft is in our rearview mirror. And we had a lot of controversy with Shador. I don't really want to get into Shador, but everybody's seen it. We seen the controversy. We know what it is.
Must be the money. Huh? Huh?
Must be the
That's how
money.
that's how he was going. No, I'm happy,
Yeah,
man. I'm happy for him. Yeah,
you
I'm a
know
I'm a
what it is.
fan.
He got picked up, and that's that. But we're not going to spend a lot of time talking about that. But the Cowboys, I would say they had a solid draft. A lot of people leading up to the draft was talking about Ted McMillan and running back from Boise State,
Yeah, Ashton. Yeah, yeah. There was a
Ashton.
lot of hypotheticals thrown
It
around
was
in
a
the
lot of
air.
hype. It didn't happen, and we took Tyler Booker from Alabama with that first pick. I know a lot of Cowboy fans were upset with that.
No.
And
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I just want to say this. I just want to say this. It's funny with our fans, man, because we took Travis Frederick in 2013.
Yeah, 13.
We took Zach Martin. They booed on the Zach Martin. I was at the Travis Frederick draft.
Yeah.
Everybody booed. We moved back and we took Travis Frederick. We needed a center at the time. We needed a guard with Zach Martin. And now we got Tyler Booker, who we need to fill a void that was left by Zach Martin. What are your thoughts? Gil?
Let me say this, like just from the top, right? I really believe that this was some of the best work, research and draft wise for the Cowboys. Okay. Now, first pick, 12, with the O line, some like you had you could have went with, a difference maker, this, that, and the third. I'm like, listen, the game is played in the trenches. Okay. It starts and stops up front, whether it be the defense or the offensive side of the ball. Alice said, we're going to ensure we remember those Roman years. We're going to ensure moving forward, we're going to take care of our $60 million per year quarterback. Okay. We believe that this guy is who we that just showed me that they have complete and total faith in Dak Prescott. This head coach is about pass protection and running the football. Those are priorities key on his list based on the draft that I just saw. But I just for the sake of team need and how to address key pieces necessary. I know everybody wanted to do the receiver piece, but McMillan, I mean, I saw him. McMillan was there for a hot second, but the Panthers kind of just jumped on him. They just said, we got to pair him with our young quarterback, but it's whatever. Me personally, I thought I will give that pick really like a B plus. Position
Mm.
wise, it's an A, from the world because that's kind of what we need with Zach walking out the door. Go with that greatest line of all time, or one of the greatest lines of all time for Dallas, with Fredericks, Smith, and Martin. But
Mhm.
they kept I applaud them for sticking to what their blueprint and how things work. It's tough because the old Cowboys I remember growing up. Man, who the best player? Let me see that sheet. Yeah, throw that ticket in there. We got free agent. How much you say you want? Yeah, hand me my
Mhm.
checkbook. I'm gonna go. I don't care. Go get them for me, or I'm gonna toss all
Mhm.
these draft picks. I think they do a great job with their farming process and how they get the right guys in there. But Booker, I definitely will give him a B.
Yeah, it's a collective now. Back then it was Jerry by himself, but now you got Will in the room, you got Steven, and they said that at the pre-draft press conference that they're going to take each player that's on their board and they're going to pick these players as a collective. Everybody has to agree on those players
Yeah,
that were picked.
yeah.
Tyler Booker is a mauler, of course. He's a dog. I liked his enthusiasm when he got picked. He jumped the man. He was just very excited to be a Dallas Cowboy, and that energizes the fan base when you see somebody with that much enthusiasm after being, you see people being picked and, they walk out, try to be cool, but man, he jumped up, man, ran through the tunnel, man, like a WWF wrestler, man,
Yeah,
about to hit the ring.
yeah, cue my music.
And oh yeah, man. But the tape, man. If you watched it, if you're not familiar with Tyler Booker, go watch the tape against him against LSU and some of these other SEC teams, man.
Mhm.
He is a mauler. He's not really, he's not as athletic, as far as a lot of guards right now. He's not one of those guys that can get out there and, that can pull. But man, when you talk about head to head,
Pass blocking.
grinding it out,
Yeah,
straight up,
man to man.
man, he's definitely a beast, and he's a leader. He was the leader in that locker room. He kept the troops motivated, and he's something that we need right now because for the last 2 or 3 years, we didn't really have that vocal leader. The Cowboys drafted leaders, future leaders that's going to be in the locker room. They're going to lead this team. So with that pick, I'm gonna give it an A. I think it was an A for me.
Yeah, okay. I like that. I like it. I like it. It's no losing regardless. There's no losing.
Yeah, the A. So the second round,
It's spicy.
it threw us all. With so much stuff going on, there's a lot of movement. And I can't remember how many receivers went in the first round. I think it might have been about three receivers, if I'm not mistaken, that went
Yeah, I think
in the
McMillan,
first round.
Golden, and I forget the other.
It was Golden,
McMillan.
McMillan, and I can't remember the third. It was Abuka
Yeah,
from
Books.
Ohio. Was
Yeah,
Abuka from Ohio State?
I think he went to the Bucks, right?
Yeah, I believe. Yeah, he went to the Bucks, and they had. I believe, in my opinion, I believe McMillan was on the Cowboys draft board,
Mhm.
but they, if you can remember, Booker came in right before pre-draft 30, and the Cowboys fell in love with him. So they had to pivot from the wide receiver to take the offensive lineman. But it definitely was a good pick. But that the second round, man. See, that's the money round, Gil. A lot of people, they all get caught up on the first round, and man, you gotta get this one right here. But that second, third, and fourth round is the money round. That's where you get the value pick.
You
The
get them
guys that,
dogs that ain't in the news,
yeah,
ain't in the media, you know what I'm
the
saying? But
guys,
the coach is like, oh yeah, this trust me when I tell you this guy right here, he gonna change the team.
yeah, the guys that could be potential first rounders or high rounders, but they just for some reason they slipped through the crack. And that second pick, Gil Donovan, let me say his name right, is as a Rocco.
That's one of those.
Yeah, the
I'm gonna get it
edge
right. I'm gonna get it right.
as a Ruco, the edge from Boston College. Let me tell y'all something. When you get a chance, go and look at the highlights of this young man. He puts on a clinic. He is definitely a dog,
Yeah.
and I like him. He plays the run real tough. He led the nation in sacks. He had like 16 sacks this past season,
He definitely has a
and
bag of tricks. Yeah.
oh yeah,
Definitely got a bag of tricks. I'm gonna start saying abracadabra out here when he when he blasting through these
man,
linemen.
man, I believe Cowboy Nation, we might have found our bookend.
Well, I mean, the dude he's a straight beast, like you said, watch the tape and you'll see it. But I just him he has 190 snaps against pass, like straight pass sets in college. Okay. And he got a 25% win rate. That to me says, okay, I don't need to call a blitz, you feel me, for this guy to get to the QB. Okay. One on one, he gonna be a problem. And I'm like, you make it even sweeter because you got Michael on the other side of the ball. So it's like, man, pick your poison.
Bookend.
Pick your poison. If he's anything like he was on tape and in college, oh, this is gonna be an interesting season, for the Dallas defense. But we'll get to that when we get into the later rounds and we talk about, my new fat packs. We put a little ribeyes on the grill, you know what I'm saying? We season them up. We're gonna see which one of those turn over to be that whole stopper, okay? Keep
Yeah.
these guys, keep them in the, keep that pocket tiny, keep it small, keep it bending.
Yeah, man, and he definitely looking at his stature. He's kind of built like Micah a little bit. You know, they had the same kind of build. I think he's like maybe 40,
Yeah, they
but he set.
light, quick, strong. You know, appearance
Yeah,
wise
strong.
shows that. Oh man, he's not this huge guy. I'm like, man, listen. Last I checked, he's fast enough. He got the foot speed to track anything down. You know, he got different moves in his bag to get around linemen. He can bull rush. He can swivel. He got the
Drop
360.
back in coverage.
Probably got the. He was okay in coverage, but yeah, he pretty much like the bull out here. You show him that
Yeah,
red
he
tape, and he going to get that quarterback. He definitely having, QBs curse out their linemen like, bro, fine, track him down. Okay. Where is he on the field? So we gonna see. We gonna see. I like that at the second round pick. And I mean, of course, again, you see the numbers. That 90% win rate, I mean, excuse me, that 25% win rate is up there with Abdul. I'm not making him as Abdul Carter, but I'm like, for him to be drafted
he's
in the
up
second
there.
round, I'm kind of like curious as to how did he slip? How did he fall to the second round? But I guess it was just the hype and the need in the time because that first round,
Yeah,
man, if you wasn't an old lineman or a defensive edge or like some lightning quick linebacker, yeah, your name was not getting called. It was top tier talent that was in that second round.
and I believe what was the young man that got drafted from Georgia? That was your guy, the guy from Georgia, right?
Yeah, that brings me into it, man. Jalen Walker, which I was surprised that he
He was the
did.
second edge.
I had to
Was he
double
the
check.
second
He might
edge
have been the
taken?
second edge, but he just stayed in Atlanta, man, which I was like, wow. I figured, I thought he was a for sure pick since the Browns had traded, great work. Kevin Costner really do work for the Browns organization because that was a brilliant draft move. But I thought for sure, like, okay, I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna pick him up, but they went in a different direction with Mason. So I said, okay, well, I mean, it's a win-win for the Browns regardless. But I
Yeah,
was
but
I was just shocked.
you were one of him.
Yeah.
He wasn't around. And I'm glad that the Cowboys didn't move up. You know, they just stayed put.
I think he got
And
drafted at 15. He was there
did he go
until
15? Did
yeah,
they?
Atlanta had
Oh,
15. So
okay.
that was the
That
part
wasn't his.
where they just for what they're trying to do, they said, "You know what? We're gonna take Booker right now. We're gonna take Booker
Yeah,
right
that
now,
value.
and we gonna get the value that we need because we got." I'm sure they had Donovan's name circled.
Uh-huh.
This right here he's it. Okay, if he's sitting there when it come back around, this is our pick to solve that issue.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I would give with that pick, I give that an A.
Yeah,
You
that's
know, I
that, that
give
was a
that was
that was a pick.
yeah, that was that was a great value at that position at the 44th overall pick. Donovan as a Ruku.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you said you give it an A, right, Gil?
Yeah, I definitely me, like I said, man, if the road for the Dallas Cowboys to get back, we just gonna keep it modest, right? You want to get to the Super Bowl, I get it. It don't happen overnight. You got to take baby steps, right? So I'm
Uh-huh.
just trying to get them to the NFC Conference Championship. Okay. And
Uh-huh.
you look at, the champions last, let's say 31 years, from our last championship, right? Or is it
Uh-huh.
90 30 years, whatever you want to call it, right?
Yeah.
You gotta have I'm gonna go top 12, top 10 defense gotta get you there. They gotta be healthy, they gotta be physical, they gotta be aggressive, they gotta be able to when the situation calls for it. I got guys on this side of the ball that can stop a play. We can end a series. And I think that they're taking
Uh-huh.
steps to address that. We'll see if they pan out though, but that was just more for me. Like y'all can no longer afford to just say, all right, I'm just going to flood the gates with offensive weaponry, linemen, running backs, receivers, and we're gonna be flashy, but there's no substance. Like you eat Chinese food, but you're still hungry. You know what I'm saying? 30 minutes later, like, man, let me go get something else. So yeah.
They nailed that pick. They nailed a lot of these picks in this past draft. I haven't seen them draft like this in a long time. But the draft it had a lot of depth at a lot of different, mainly at running back and defensive players, and quarterback was kind of light this year. But overall, they had a lot of good talent in this draft. So the next pick, that's the 75th overall, Gil. They took Shavon Rebel
East
Jr. out
Carolina.
of East Carolina. And man, he should have been a top 15 pick. That young man balled out, but he had a knee injury, which that messed his stock up. But he had the opportunity to go to the Cowboys doctor. I can't think of his name right now.
Mhm. Yeah, we always
That's
got
the doc.
the inside information.
Yeah, he's the one that performed the surgery on his ACL, and then he gonna give Jerry the inside scoop, and sure enough, They thought he was good enough. He's a long corner, man. He stands about 6'2", but man, he balled out with East Carolina. He be if you look at the go back and look at the tape, he's all over the field, man.
Yeah, I mean, the
Yeah.
one-on-one man coverage specialist, you know what I'm saying? PPF got him ranked like 80% in his back-to-back seasons coverage as an outside corner, which I'm looking like, okay, so that pick means to me is giving me like, is somebody getting ready to get traded? Are we gonna make some moves?
Yeah,
Are we gonna
man.
do something? Is somebody's injury, more significant than we had once, otherwise thought? So I mean,
But you
I like the pick. We sure know how to get Dallas knows how to go get a cornerback. The only
but you got
concern is the injury. How is it will he be ready to perform? One, and then two, will he perform at the level he did at East Carolina?
Yeah, the writing is on the wall, man. I mean, we lost Jordan Lewis. You got Diggs. You don't know how Diggs is going to respond from this injury. So that's more of a safety. It's a safety blanket, but it's also a little bit of notice because you got Bland that's coming up next year on his contract. You got Diggs. You don't know when he's coming back. It's more than likely it's not going to be in the beginning of the season. It'll probably be sometime mid or late season for him to come back. So you got to take Rebel right there. And, I believe that was just a good, strong, it's a win-win either way. Even if Diggs come back healthy, it's just more depth that we can have in that secondary.
Mhm.
I give that pick a B plus.
Yeah, I agree with you on that one. They're definitely noted for a B plus. Like I said, man, I trust in Will, man. He seems to have the pipeline and the right group of guys and how they scout and evaluate talent, and they find dogs. They find real
Mm-hmm.
football players, this perfectionists at their positions. Okay. They may not, be top on everybody else's board, but when they get in the pro level and on the Dallas end, they sure enough they pan out to be great. They become Pro Bowlers and they do things. I'm just looking for it to be put together finally to where, like I said, we can make some noise in NFC Championship game.
Absolutely. Which leads us to one of your favorite Gil at in round 5 at pick 149, Jaden Blue, running back Texas.
Yeah, yeah. So okay, right. Let me explain why Jaden is such a monumental pick for the Cowboys. Okay, so when we look at how successful Dak Prescott is and how successful he's been in the league, right? Like we know he does what well. He can throw the deep ball. He can extend plays. He makes it difficult on defenses. He doesn't like take the first option and make it easy for turnovers. He protects the football, right? But it works when he has a running game that's consistent. Okay. When it's a consistent running game and he can mix things up, Dak Prescott, he gonna win some football games. Okay. He definitely gonna win some football games. So though that's the reason why I love the fact of how they drafted where you got Booker first. Then you get your edge out the way. Then you go get your cornerback to kind of insurance to cover those DBs. And you say, okay, now let's address and get a guy that I think he was like 4.3, sub 4.3 speed, potentially 4.2,
Mm-hmm.
depending on who hit the watch. And I'm looking at it
Uh-huh.
like, man, this line, that's second level. I'm out. The only problem is we got
Mm-hmm.
to see how he does with, ball security. But you can't be mad. Like a second Tony Pollard coming out here and going for broke, man. I love it. I love it, man. I love that. And I think that'll be once again, you can see, the bigger picture as the draft, as we go through these picks, what the coaches and the organization is trying to do to both address the defensive side, as well as we have paid Dak Prescott. We believe and trust in Dak Prescott. He's our guy. He's our leader. He's committed to this team. We're going to do things to make sure that he's successful. So I think you get a lot, tremendous upside with picking Blue out of Texas. I mean, like I said, you were just buried in elite running backs. Robinson, you got all these backs that came out of Texas. You just had to wait your turn. So he didn't, go bananas, but I think in Dallas, I think it's the perfect position, perfect spot for him.
And that's a good thing because, like you said, he didn't go bananas, so he didn't really get that many touches. Even though a lot of people be big on stats. Well, he didn't have 1,000 yards rush. That's okay. We just want him to be. We don't need all of that. We just need him to be fresh,
Mhm.
and he's definitely a home run hitter. When he get that thing, he gonna make a house call. Right now, if you look at this roster, Gil, we only have one explosive player, and that's CD Lamb. He's the only one out.
Oh,
Oh,
Turpin.
I take it back. Two.
Turp. Yeah.
You got Turpin. But now you adding a blue in the backfield that can touch that ball and
Yeah,
take
one
it
touch,
100
I'm
yards.
gone. Or, throw a screen and get the right block. Somebody pulled, Tyler pulled. I'm out, big dog. I'm gone.
But the big thing with this guy is that out the backfield he can catch that football, man. He's one of the best pass catching running backs that came out of the draft this year. And they had him ranked at one time. He was like third. He was like the third back. If I'm not mistaken, he was ranked. Yeah, he was one. Early in the season they had him as the third running back, but those fumble issues. He fumbled during the playoff. He had a critical fumble during the college football playoff, so that kind of those fumbles. He had 7 fumbles last year,
Ball
so that kind of
security
hurt his
is
stock.
ball security
You know,
is of the utmost importance.
I don't care if you Earl Campbell or daggone Adrian Peterson. If you put that football on the ground,
Yeah,
it
killing
is
me.
a wrap.
Killing me, PD. Yeah,
It
killing me,
is a
PD.
wrap, man.
You know,
Yeah, so that was a good pick. I'm gonna give Blue. I'm gonna give Blue. I'm gonna give that pick a B plus. I'll give it a B.
I'm gonna go B minus with that one. Like I said, ball security is top.
Okay.
It's important. You turn the rock over. I look at it. Turn the rock over is like throwing an interception. Kills. It destroys drives. Kills momentum. Kills enthusiasm. So if he can tighten that up, if he can pull like a tiki barber and go from here, put the ball up, wrap over like this, you'd be good.
Mm-hmm.
We'd be good. But it's funny you say, well, we haven't gotten to my guy yet. You say blue is good, but my guys are coming. Okay, my
Yeah.
fat pack is at the bottom of this list, but we
Oh
gonna, we
yeah.
gonna get to him.
Just stay tuned. I know you. I know you. You're drooling over there. You ready to get to him, but
I'm ready.
yeah, man, it's coming, man. But let's talk about the defensive lineman,
Come on, Shamar James.
Shamar James. Yeah,
Man, you sound
Florida.
like an R&B singer, my brother. He about to be out here.
Shalimar.
Yeah, yeah. I was not familiar, surprisingly. So you got this huge linebacker, over 1,000 snaps. What does it say?
Mm-hmm.
Got good coverage grade and pass coverage. So let's see. Well, he's great at
Yeah.
stopping the run. He's big and physical, apparently, and he stops the runs and creates forced fumbles, which is, like I said, man, if Dallas can that back seven be doing work. You hear me?
Yeah. I said. I'm sorry. I didn't mean D line. He's a
He's a
linebacker.
linebacker. Yeah, that back
Yeah.
seven, man, they get out there on the field. They swarm to the ball. They're big, they're fast, they're physical. But the problem has always been, what I'm saying, it's always the second level before they got to get to work. Okay, they never get to meet him at the line or meet him in the backfield. They always give up. They give up that first level. So, but this is supposedly somebody that can be once again, the mastery of the draft, put another guy in there, okay,
Mm-hmm.
that is set up your natural position and how you play is to stop the run. Is focused on the sore spot, which is what Dallas has been struggling with for years. Even, the like we said, we like to look at stats, right? You got a top 10
Uh-huh.
or top 5 defense, but you can't stop the run. I'm like, man, we don't got nothing, champ. We don't got
Yeah.
nothing. We don't got nothing. It means if the story is if you're not up in points, you can't play in that dynamic. You can't play that way. If it's a close game or they got the lead, it's like, man, we got to abandon ship. Or we force turnovers or issues. But like I said, man, getting back to this R&B singer, we gonna see, man. We gonna see. I think I'll have to see the tape. I haven't had an opportunity to check the tape on him, but we'll see. He's a Florida boy, so apparently that's where a lot of the
Yeah. I
talent in the
think
NFL world comes from. So,
this was more of a depth. They're going to add to. Once you get in the second, you first, second, and third round. These are plug in. They plug and play type players. They got Booker. Booker is a plug and play. They expect him to start. Donovan, they want him to start. And then Blue, they're going to want Blue to step in. He'll probably or Rebel. I'm sorry, Rebel at the third pick. These are plug and play type guys.
mhm.
When you get to around the fourth, fifth, and sixth round, these are more. They don't expect these guys to come in and start.
Right.
It's just unless it was a unusual talent that fell to that a projected first rounder that fell to those later rounds. So I'm not with this pick. He's a solid linebacker. Had a great year with Florida, and I don't expect him, with the current roster. I don't, he might be just a depth guy. He might be a special team guy just to start off, and they're gonna work him in slow.
Well, like I said,
That's the way I look at it.
you get your opportunity to make the best of it.
It's
Honestly,
always the next.
those are my favorite type of picks because you don't expect much out of them, but then when they get
Yeah,
there and then they like, "Nah, bruh," you see him coming, and then he get put on special teams because like I said, the linebacker spot, Dallas is loaded, it's just health issues. Can guys come back healthy?
yeah,
You know what I'm saying? Can what we've already put out there, can that cohesiveness come together for this group? Can we do things? And we'll see where stuff stands. But like I said, I look at him like, look, the door's open, folks. Is not 100% just yet. And like I said, it's a new regime. So I'm like, man, ball out, play for more than just running down the field on special teams, even though that's important. But yeah, act as if you were fighting for a starting job and get on that roster, man, and then go
oh
from
yeah,
there.
yeah, man. So he's definitely it was a solid pick. He's explosive. He knows how to get to the ball. Get in when you get into competition. This is they're making the competition. That's what I like. There's going to be a lot of competition when all these players come to camp, man. So I'm excited about that. Yeah. So at 204, Gil, the Cowboys took a Johnny Cornelius, offensive tackle from Oregon. That's the second lineman. Okay. What do you make of that pick? Tyler Guyton, it was his first year last year. Tyler Guyton, he struggled, especially with the jumping off side. I don't know the number of times that he jumped off sides last year. It had to be up there in the top 10 of offensive linemen. He jumped off sides a lot, which, a lot of rookie offensive linemen, they struggle in their first year. It's not an easy position, especially at moving from right tackle where he played in college at Oklahoma to left tackle. That left tackle, you're gonna always have the opposing team's best pass rusher on that side.
Yeah, it's gonna
What
be
do you what do
dog,
you
dog
make
on
of
dog
this?
football. Huh?
Yeah, what do you make of this? What do you make? Is this a depth pick, or what do you make of this pick? Or is
Uh,
Tyler Guyton? You think Tyler Guyton is on notice
it's too early for
after
me
his
to
first
say
year?
that. Yeah, I can't think that they quit on him, after such a high pick that they used for him last year. He might, they might give him another shot at it. But I look at this as more of an insurance policy. Like, okay,
Mm-hmm.
is it what we're asking you to do? Um, are you is there a breakdown in translation and understanding? Are you not, heavily invested in your playbook? Is it to help us help you understand what you need to get done so that you can just focus on playing football? So this pick for me, I love it. Once again, ain't nothing wrong with getting younger and bigger on the offensive side of the ball because clearly, our division is stacked with straight goons. I said earlier we talking about our draft picks, but the Giants went ham. Okay. Fowler
Mm-hmm.
and Abdul is coming. Okay. I don't know what they're gonna get out of this quarterback, but they're coming. Philadelphia, I think they're like 7, 8 deep on that rotation on that D line. Plus they coming
Mm-hmm.
off a Super Bowl win. And then we of course we got the Commanders, but I'm not even really worried too much about the Commanders at this particular point. They got to prove that's a prove it to me second time around type of situation. But again, man, like you they're forecasting what they believe how to defend against these type of teams. We got to have an offensive line that's big, physical. We got to ensure just in case injury, because injury always is every year is a concern. But yeah, I think they're gonna do some interesting things with him. I think he had 1,400 snaps. I think 14 and he only allowed 4 sacks in his career. And he's a traditional another again, once again, invested in Dak Prescott with another premier pass blocker out of that Oregon offense and that pro style offense. So I'm not mad again at no pick for offensive lineman, man. Hook it up.
You look at the offseason, they brought in Hakeem Adeniji, and he used to play for the Bengals. And they brought in a number of offensive linemen. I think there's like 14 or 15 offensive linemen. And then they draft the offensive tackle. I was watching Vouch Lombardi. Shout out to Vouch Lombardi and Brian Brodus on their podcast. They were talking about Tyler Guyton, and they were talking about this offensive line guru that Duke Merriweather that a lot of the players go to in the offseason. It was a head scratcher when he was asked about Tyler Guyton, which is kind of disturbing for a coach to come out or someone of that magnitude.
Coach?
Yeah, the offensive line. He's like he trains the offensive lineman. But anyway, to hear that come out, and it's on the, we already about to start the beginning of the season. It's kind of disturbing. It's not really it's not really good for Tyler Guyton. And you got to remember, this is a whole different coaching staff, and I'm curious to see how long of a leash are they going to have on him when it comes to playing time, because they pulled him. When he was struggling last year. They pulled him quite a few times.
I mean, again, like I said, that's what your rookie season is for. If we just, abandon you after, 1 year playing football, I mean, again, like I said, this was a very rough season that they just came off of. He kind of came in a transitional period with Mike McCarthy. Running game is
Do
different. You come in and you got high expectations in the OTAs and the training camp. You're showing big flashes up against Micah. So it shows that you got the physical attributes to be a dog, to be a great player. But it's the mental piece that transitions you into that all pro caliber left tackle. So right now, man, like I said, I refuse to just say like, okay, 1 year you didn't do well,
Yeah.
saying we out of there. Especially with our new OC, who's the offensive lineman guru, right? He's responsible for building up that run game in Arizona. Folks may not take too much to it, but when you have guys that can kind of unlock, untapped potential like that, like I said, man, give this kid an opportunity. He's 23 years old.
Yeah, I think
As I
in
see
the end
it,
of the,
yeah,
I think he's definitely going to work it out. He was a great talent coming out of Oklahoma, and sometimes these linemen, it's hard to transition from going to right,
yeah,
from right, and some fans, the average fans don't know how, or people that's not really knowledgeable of positions like that. When you switch, when you come from a right tackle to a left
left,
tackle, it's
yeah.
just totally different.
Which for me is always like interesting when it comes to football because I would imagine, right, for the star players, the studs, right, you just come in, you put them at their natural position, you set the table for them to eat and let them do what they do best. If he was on the right hand side, like he would probably be showing big flashes, and this wouldn't even be a conversation or discussion, right? But you
Hmm.
move him to left tackle, and then that left tackle spot that sees the dog across the board, the entire league. You look at the matchups and how he competed and what he went up against. I'm pretty sure he was like, "Listen, man, I'm out here doing the best I can. Like I'm right-handed, but I got to think. I have to reverse my former thinking and what to look for and what's coming. All the while, I got Miles Garrett or um, I got Carter. I got and I got guys that can really play this game, coming at me from the left side. So I mean, like I said, man, we just need to have some sort of patience when it comes to the development program. I still think that he'll pan out. And I think this could be a line that was just as amazing and awesome as the Smith Martin Fredericks era. You gotta trust in them. You gotta give them time to get on the same page, and then we'll see what happens. But don't worry, they'll glue. I got faith.
Man, I'm excited, man. We got three Tylers on the team on the offensive line.
I
How did
got
that happen?
but we going by last name. I'm gonna go Smith. I'm gonna go Booker. I'm gonna go Guyton. One of y'all, yeah.
Yeah, man,
Yeah,
that's just crazy, man. But look, at 7, okay, that pick uh with a Johnny
yeah.
Oregon. Oregon had a real good. I watched Oregon a few times this year, and they had a really explosive, as usual, they always have an explosive offense. They had explosive run game. Johnny was a mauler, so that's more of a depth. I think it was more of a depth. They picked that depth. I'm gonna give this pick about a C plus.
yeah. I mean, like I said, this is more of a you know I I know you can play, but I'm not counting on you to be a starter. You can pull in
Yeah,
for a series, or if somebody goes down, we can plug you in so you don't get the same playbook and the same options. We're gonna see what happens. You might
yeah,
surprise us. So, but yeah, I get it. This late in the draft, you're just looking for, like you said, you're looking for able young bodies to fill out the roster. So yeah,
yeah.
I'll go with you on that pick. But I think he has the potential. Like I said, he's seen a lot of snaps, like a lot of snaps at pass blocking. He's not there for no reason. But now, listen, man. Let me usher this one in, okay? Pick 217, okay? You hear
Mm-hmm.
me? Sometimes, you get hungry. You come home from dinner. You like, look, man. These chicken wings ain't gonna do it. I need you to throw a steak on the menu. I need to get these potatoes out the cabinet in the cupboard, and I need to chow down and eat. Jay Toy, okay, out of UCLA, 300-pounder. I've been screaming for years, okay? Dallas has been bottom tier with the front four at stopping the run. Okay.
Okay.
Physical, when these physical games come in, not that they can't play or get off that block or get one-on-one, but they're getting doubled, they're getting pushed, they're getting moved, they're getting carried around they're getting carried around the field. Okay. Will said, not today, baby. Let me go ahead and throw this 316-pound Bohemian Polynesian brother, Polynesian sauce on the field. Okay. That's what I'm talking about. Okay. And I'm not looking for him, the stats don't jump off the sheet for like, okay, you got sacks or this, that, and the third. But I just need you, sir, to stick to your man. Okay. That's what we got these linebackers for when they get healthy. We need guys that can stop them from getting to the second level and putting hands on a linebacker to cause an injury to, when they pull, we separate the men from the boys, when they start pulling, like, no, 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 I'm not. You're not just gonna throw me out of here, buddy. You have to plant your feet and focus when you line up against me. So this is by far one of my favorite picks so far. I hope he really does pan out. If we're looking at potential lineups, I think this could be a guy that, if he comes in and works, he could be in the starting rotation. I wouldn't say the first four on the line. First one to come in on the sub, that's number 5. That's him.
Definitely a wrecking ball, man. This guy, man, he is our version of Vita Vey. You can't move. That dude is just a boulder, and you can't run at him.
Yeah, look, listen, don't look, run away from that's all I want is you got Donovan one side, Micah the other side. You got a guy like this in the middle of the field that does not move, won't be moved, can't be moved, and he's pushing and making the quarterback have to think faster. Or if it's a running back, he literally has to make a second cut earlier than expected because he getting his lineman, the center, or one of these guards getting pushed back crazy. Okay. Or you feel me because the line is one of them linebackers getting through squeaky clean. Okay, he rushing through. So this for me, these are the picks that I'm looking for.
Oh
Okay,
yeah, that
this
a
is
great
a
value
step
in the
towards the
7th
right
round. I
direction.
don't know how he slid like that. I guess he kind of went under the radar, man. He slid, and man, it wasn't too many one techniques his size that got picked up in this draft, man.
Yeah, he got a great grade against run stopping
Much,
and defense, bro.
much needed. He can move. He can definitely move, and we'll probably do a segment where we can show some highlights of all these picks, and so you can get a better idea. If you don't really know who they are, you can get a better idea who they are once we see the highlights. And with this pick, I give it an A. This is an A for me.
That's a
This is an A.
100% an A for me, big dog. Percent. Okay, excuse me. He's 6'3", 325. Okay, but
Oh
when he
yeah,
get to Texas, I'm sure he's gonna get up to about 335 once they start hitting them barbecue trays. He eating for free, buddy. He's
yeah, and
stepping.
but they were saying, it was a thing out there, and that's the thing. Like when it comes to the NFL draft, a lot of people put a lot of stock in the measurables. If he benched, he didn't bench 225 50 times, or he didn't run a 4. I know it's a difference of running a 4.8. If you're a running back, yeah, it's a big deal. You probably won't get drafted if you're running a 4.8 or 4.9 40. That's not the only thing that you can measure some of these plays. A lot of times you look at the tape,
Yeah,
what they did on the field,
yeah,
and then what they can translate from the college game to, and that's the thing. You can have a workout warrior, which we've seen plenty of times, come into the league and their game doesn't translate to the pro game.
yeah. They become personal trainers.